Hey guys, a very quick pre-introduction to this video. I've been in Tasmania for the last 10 days, as many of you will know who follow my channel. I hope you enjoyed the journey. This is the next episode of the emergency storage shed clean out series, which I did film just before we went to put up while I was over there. But once I started uploading Tasmania videos, I just thought I'd better continue with that. But just so that we're not out of whack, we are doing one of these every week. No excuses. This video you're about to watch was for while I was in Tassie last week. I'll be doing another one in a couple of days for this week. Enjoy. Hey guys, it's our favourite time of the week again. We're back into the emergency storage shed for another episode. We're up to episode 85. We're really starting to push towards that century, aren't we? Getting through this stuff, we made really good progress last time. I'll show you what we've got to, and there's one more box on the floor we have to talk about, and then we're going to start on a new shelf. Yes, this last tub on the floor where we were working last time had some rags fall on it from above, and it's just got some shelf brackets and things in there, just handy bits of steel. So I'm going to keep that box because as I make space in here, I'm going to need to put up shelving and I'm going to need some of those brackets. So where to next? Well, we've got this shelf that I'm pretty excited about. There's some cool stuff on there. Or we could swing back to the shelf on this side where we've been making lots of space in the middle. We've used some of it again with stuff that's sort of temporarily put there. And there's a CRT TV, which I'm halfway through fixing. So that's just there until parts turn up. So it's handy to have shelves to put that sort of stuff. We haven't tackled the top at all. I'm not really sure what's in that white tub, and there's some old boom boxes and stuff above it. But I think because everyone was pretty keen on looking at what was in here, including some old keyboards up the top, I think we'll start on this shelf because as I empty this, it's going to be really good storage for me as I'm sorting stuff, having nice solid shelves. And I'm running out of a bit of room to put scrap metal and stuff at the moment until I can do another load to Melbourne. So, you know, I've been keeping things in buckets like down here. But I need a bit more space for that. So let's start on this shelf and let's go right to the top. And we'll drag down all those keyboards, work out what we're going to do with them. And I have no idea what's in that timber box. Okay, here are our very dusty vintage keyboards. They range in vintage from probably the early 90s into the 2000s, early 2000s. And they're generally known as Clicky keyboards. You all know that sound. So there's lots of different brands here. These have just all turned up in the e-waste over the years, and every time I found a beige coloured keyboard, an older one, I just put it in my shipping container, and they accumulated into quite a pile. So what are we going to do with them? Well, I don't want them. I'm going to sell them. Most of these probably aren't worth a great deal, but there are a few that possibly are. I will search. I'll just run through a quick search on eBay and check. Some of these older ones, that's actually dated. Someone's written there 95. It's possibly when they bought it. Oh, it actually says purchased from a certain business in April 1995 for $30. How about that? I can't read the model there, SK something or other. There's actually no brand on that one. So your generic type ones probably aren't going to be worth a great deal. And most of them have, these are the larger DIN plugs, or I think they're known as an AT plug, whereas the more recent ones had the smaller 6-pin DIN plug, and they're known, I think, as a PS2 plug. Correct me if I'm wrong there, but that's my understanding. This one's made in Germany. Interesting. So I will quickly check the brands on eBay and just see if I've got anything that's worth, any more than $10 or $20. If I have, I might throw it on eBay. Clipper Light, and that's a more modern PS2 plug. So that's probably into the 2000s. That one has a date code. Oh yeah, 0029. So I guess that'd be 2000. This is a much older one, this one, with the older plug. No brand, unfortunately. It's quite yellowed from UV light. And there's no information on the back either. So I don't know much about that one. If you recognise that, well, let me know. Paragon. Quite a large keyboard, that one. And I think most of them have the number pad. I think they all have, actually. Keytronic. So I will check out these, as I said. Now, this one here is an IBM. Now, the company, well-known computer company branded ones are going to be more likely to be valuable. And this one is the best one in the pile, I would say. It's a Model M, which are quite sought after. It's actually 1984. But then it says 1990 is the date. So maybe that was a registered date or something. So Model M IBM keyboard used to bring quite a few $100s on eBay. I'll have to check to see what they're bringing now. This one looks in pretty good condition. It's very dusty, but all the keys are there. There doesn't appear to be too much staining. There's no breaks to the case. It's got both its feet, click out feet. So that's a nice piece, and I will probably, most likely, almost definitely put this on eBay. And as I said, I'll check out to see what they're going to bring. It's a very heavy keyboard, this one. I think that's certainly going to be the best we've got. This one's a unbranded again. Model KB-M102. It has got a date, has it? It actually says AT, which refers to the plug. Can't see a date on there. Dates really don't matter. They're all in that 1990 to early 2000s bracket. G-Jar, don't know about that one. I'd be very surprised if that was worth anything, and it's quite yellowed too. This is another nice older, heavier looking one. No brand on it again, unfortunately. It's got a model, it's made in Taiwan. So one of the feet has broken out. But yeah, anyway, I shall do some checking. There's another IBM one, but it's a bit more modern. So that may well have a little bit of value. Certainly not as much as the Model M. And there's a HP. So we'll check that one out as well. So I'll do some checking. I'll get back to you. I'll do some estimates on prices. I might have a pile that may be $10 each and a pile that maybe I'll put on eBay. So I'll put this Model M aside and I'll check out the rest of them. I'll give them a bit of a dust off. We'll make a list. But we'll go and get that wooden box. I have no idea what's in that wooden box. This box is a lot bigger than what it looked up on top of the cupboard, so it's got something in it. It's not overly heavy, but it's certainly bigger. I've resisted the urge to open it. Let's do that now. Okay, are you ready for this? Oh, okay. Not much, but it doesn't look like much value, but interesting all the same. We have a steel tray. We just have some random hardware bits in that one. We have a drinking glass with some old nails and a little tin. What's that say? Looks like Atabrin 0.1 gram. Maybe they were tablets or something. I think there's probably nails or tacks in it now. Yeah, little nails. Oh, here we go. Unless otherwise ordered, take 1 tablet every day after food. So there we go. It is a little tablet container. And it mentions malaria. Interesting. All right. Tin's probably worth more than the nails, I would suggest. Some more little nails. Here we have another tin. And it's a boot polish tin. We should be able to peel that old label off. I think it'll wash off. That actually might clean up okay. It's a Kiwi boot polish. It's quite an old one. And I'm guessing that's going to have nails in it too, or something similar. And try not to fling them all over the bench. There we go. Oh no, it's got steel rivets. So countersunk one end. All right, I'll probably keep those. But I think we'll clean the tin up. We'll get something for the tin. Oh, here we have a nice little oiler. These are a gun oiler, I believe. Sometimes they're branded. That will clean up quite nicely. There's going to be at least $10, maybe $15 for that one. A little pill bottle. and there's nothing in it. It's not old enough to be of value. It's a Euroa pharmacy, so that's a nearby town. And I do keep ones that say Ngambia Pharmacy because it's part of the town's local history. I might drop that into the Euroa Museum one day, but it's telephone 23, so it's getting back probably into the 60s. So yeah, probably worth collecting. Certainly their name there, Sullivan, would be known by some locals, but going back a few years. Oh, there's another one of these tins. These malaria tablet tins. This one feels like it's got tacks or something in it. Yep, small nails. Okay, we'll put the nails in a jar somewhere and we'll clean the tins up. There's an old lock assembly from probably from a drawer. Nowhere to be a cupboard door because it goes vertically. I've probably got a key to suit that, so if we can find a key, we'll be able to sell that. Here we have another tin. Who knows what would have been in this tin, but what's in it now? We have little brass pieces. Okay, well, there's some brass fittings. That's the button from off an old wood saw. It probably says Diston and Sons or something like that. A couple of just scrap bits of brass and some little fittings. A little screw-in drawer knob that'll be useful for someone, and a little copper rivet, but basically just scrap bits of brass. Oh, there's a bit more in here. We have a union for copper pipe, probably from an old fuel line, and maybe another saw piece, a washer, and I'm not sure. Oh, that looks like might have been part of an old lighter. Not sure on that. Interesting, but not much value. Here we have a heel. A leather heel for a shoe, back when you used to replace the soles of your shoes. Superior butt quality. GJ Coles & Co Australia. That's really cool with a sticker. I don't think it's worth a lot, but I think it's too good to throw out. Another little tin here, possibly a tobacco tin. Yes, Erinmore flake. It was pipe tobacco. Basically empty, just a few little tacks in there. Now we have a little box here. What's in this one? Nickel screws, I think it says. Ah, yes. Oh, that's cool. These are the rounded, semi-rounded top ones. I do keep these. They have the domed washer, and I use them for some of my projects. They look really good. I'll show you where I've used them on my dim bulb tester, where I screwed it to the wall. I think they just add some nice character. So I'll keep those screws. This jar just has some regular self-tappers and things in here. And the jar itself isn't very old. Rosella pickles, but not old enough to be of any value. It's in grams. So just screws and nuts and bolts and things. And another jar, much the same. And we have another little container here that also says the Euroa Pharmacy. So I don't know if the museum would want these. They're not really that old, but telephone 23 does date them. I might as well put them together and drop them in there one day when I'm over there. So that's it. We'll clean up all the little bits of hardware. We'll have a few tins to sell anyway. And the box will be worth something. Looks like a homemade box with the dividers in it. In fact, you know, it would make a really good shelf standing up on its end. Let's get back to this job today, and it turns out that box actually probably always was a little wall-mounted shelf unit. Pretty cool, actually. It cleaned up quite nicely. It's in pretty good condition, and that's actually going to be the best value out of the box, the actual box itself. I think I wrote down about $30 for that. Should be able to get that. The sides are actually cedar. The back's just ply. I think it's been made up out of old furniture. It's been obviously a homemade job, but looks pretty cool. So the door closes. It's basically a little wall mount cabinet. The rest of the stuff, well, I cleaned it up. There were some disappointments and there was some good stuff. The disappointments were that these two tins, the Erin Moore tobacco tin and the Kiwi boot polish tin, I was hoping that under the labels it would be much better condition, but the labels have contributed to some rust because both where, I don't know if it was masking tape or some sort of stick-on label, they did soak off with water, but it's obviously rusted the artwork underneath. So not a lot of value. I think I just wrote down $5 the pair. So a bit disappointing there. These little tins were malaria tablets, and they're actually World War II. They were issued to troops that fought in tropical areas like New Guinea, and yeah, they're basically part of the soldiers' medical kit. I found quite a few online. I couldn't see any on eBay that actually sold, other than one that was in a group of other tins. I don't think they're particularly rare. I'm only going to put $5 each on them. They're not in the best condition, but they're good examples, I suppose. I polished up the little saw button here. It does say Henry Diston and Sons. So nice little piece. I'll just keep that for if I'm restoring the saw down the track. I've got a few of those in a box somewhere. The lock I did find a key for. It cleaned up quite nicely. I just wiped that over just to take the dust off it. And the little, I called it a gun oiler. Online they're actually, everyone referred to them as a banjo oiler for obvious reasons. They've also probably used as a general oiler for sewing machines and all sorts of stuff, but I think they were with certain guns as well. So that's in great nick, and as you can see on the front, it actually has the Union Jack, and it says British made. So really nice piece. I'm going to put $20 on that. We'll look at the notepad for this stuff before we get onto the keyboards, and we've ended up with a total of $75 for really what we thought was just a pretty ordinary box with hardly anything in it. So that's okay. And I will take those old tablet or pill containers back to a local museum, because I think that's the sort of stuff that should be preserved with local town museums as part of the town's history. So there we go. Let's get onto those keyboards. These are all the lower value ones that I've cleaned up. And when I say I've cleaned up, I've just wiped over them on the tops of the keys. They're still quite grubby and dusty between the keys, but it wasn't worth spending time on them. I just used Windex until that ran out. And then I found a product that worked a little bit better. And I'm not lying to you when I'm saying I don't know what it is, but it worked. So these ones here, actually these two here are the cheaper of the lot. This G-Jar one, I couldn't find much about the brand at all. And this one's a Clipper Light. They're fairly basic generic keyboards. They both have a PS2 plug. I'm going to put them in the shop at $10 each, just as examples of beige clicky keyboards. The rest of them, as far as this lot go, are a little bit better. As I said, I've cleaned them up. They're a bit more presentable than they were. Some of them are a bit older and do have the AT plug. Others have a more modern PS2 plug. I'm going to put all these at $20 each. That one's quite an old one, but I did find a few examples of it. Even though it says Paragon on the front, I think it was a Keytronic, yeah. So I found some examples online that weren't selling, didn't bring very much. I'm not going to muck around with them, but they still are nice vintage keyboards. So I'm going to go $20 each on those ones. These two are very old ones. I'd say they'd have to be early 80s or at least mid 80s. They've both got the AT plug. That one is branded on the back MCL, and there's a couple of model numbers, but I could not find anything about it anywhere online. So I don't know if it's a particularly rare one. This one is totally unbranded. There's nothing on the back, nothing on the top there. And I couldn't even find some pictures that resembled that one. So I'm going to estimate $50 each on these. I will clean these ones up. I haven't cleaned them up yet. And I think these ones are probably worth going to a bit better effort in cleaning them. Whether I pop all the keys off and give them a wash, I'm not too sure. I'm going to estimate $50 each on these. Let me know in the comments if you recognise them, or if you're interested, or if you know what sort of value they're going to have. I could throw them on eBay. I'm just not too sure. I don't have time to do that at the moment. I think I'll put them in the shop at $50 each. And, I don't expect they're going to be super rare and valuable, but yeah, should be able to get 50. They're certainly unusual. And the last two are the best two. And this one was branded Silly Tech. I think it was Silitek from memory. And I did find a few examples of this bringing $100 plus on eBay, so it might be more sought after. It seems in pretty good condition. It has got a little bit of a kind of a melt mark across the edge there. But I'm going to clean this one more thoroughly. I will pop all the keys off, give it a good wash up, and I will be testing all these. It won't take long to plug them all into my vintage IBM computer here and just quickly type something to make sure they work. But that one, I'm going to estimate at $100, and I will put it on eBay. It may well do better than that, and we'll see how we go there. And of course, the Model M, I will give a better clean as well. I will take all the keys off and give it a good clean up and test that, of course. And they are still bringing pretty good money, a couple of $100 plus, depending on conditions. So I'm going to write down $200 for that one, $100 for this one, and that's going to add up to quite a few dollars for the lot of keyboards. Just testing all the keyboards. The PS2 ones are easy, they plug straight in. I do have an adapter to take the AT ones. I'm assuming that will work okay. I'm not sure, we'll try it in a minute. They've all worked great. I feel like I'm typing lines, excuse the strobing. But the last one, we've lost the O and the I aren't working. So this was on I think I had $20 on this HP. We might mark this down to 10 and make a note. They're probably fixable. It's probably just a dirty contact, but I'll drop the price on this one to 10. I'll keep testing the rest of them, and we'll make some price alterations at the end. So I was able to test most of the keyboards. The older ones with the AT plugs, some of the two really early ones wouldn't work. No, I just got some weird beeps from the computer. So I'm guessing that it's different technology and you can't just use an adapter. Don't know how to test those. The Model M worked fine, although there were some characters missing. I'll have a look at the screen here. Oh, I better get you a photo so we don't have strobing. And you can see I've marked it at the bottom. It's missing the Q and missing the W, and I think also a couple of other keys around this area, the tab and the caps lock. I'm not sure that they were working. The numbers worked. So that would suggest that that area perhaps has a bit of an issue. Maybe there was a drink spilt there. But I'm going to pull all the caps off that, all the buttons, and give it a proper clean up. So we may as well go all the way and see if we can fix it. So that will be a separate video. But in light of the fact that that's not 100% operational, I have taken $100 off the price I estimated, which I said was $200. So we'll just drop that down to $100, and I took $10 off one of the other ones that had some issues. That was a $20 keyboard. That brings us a total of $485, including the treasures we found in the box earlier. So there we go. The keyboards, even though it's a little bit, a little bit tricky to guess a price on them, particularly with those older two, because I actually cannot test them. If you know how to test the old ones, let me know in the comments. If it's not too hard, I'll try and do it. Otherwise, I'll have to sell them untested, and it may drop a bit more money off the total. But I think we've been fairly conservative. And yeah, the old IBM workshop computer for testing things has done its job again. And that takes our total of the emergency storage shed value to $13,670, I think, around about that. Really getting up there, some good value in this episode. Next week, we'll get back up to that shelf. We've got some early computer monitors and some other stuff, and then we're going to work our way down. There's some pretty interesting stuff on that shelf. Thanks for following along. I hope you're enjoying this series. We'll catch you next time. Bye for now.